This is called The Hardest Kid in the Second Year, October half term, 1973. Back in the days of penny for the guy, an old tradition from times obsolete, packets of Bensons and bangers we'd buy to smoke in the park and throw in the street, and if a shopkeeper doubtful became, we'd tell him a lie, give a false name, though scarce were the times a sale was refused. Corner shopkeepers rarely accused children of lying. The rule seemed to be, as long as you told them they are for my dad, you'd likely be served with no problems had. And besides, there was no CCTV. Basically, 12-year-olds told a white lie and corner shopkeepers turned a blind eye. I had Leo Sayer type afro hair. I wore a tank top, a wide collared shirt, two-tone trousers approaching threadbare, clumpy shoes that were starting to hurt, a BHS parka I longed to outgrow, and a knitted scarf that needed to go. I wanted to be a fashionable peer, but Mum wouldn't buy me outlandish gear. Bowie haircuts were then all the rage. He was at the peak of his Ziggy stage, and glam rock was the order of the day. T-Rex, Slade, David Bowie, The Sweet, and my top 10 list would be incomplete minus Gary Glitter. I'm sorry to say, none of us knew that he was a nonce, though on reflection he dressed like a ponce. Such was the epoch in 73 as seen through the eyes of my pre-teen self. Joining the EU meant nothing to me. The IRA never damaged my health. Power cut threats bothered me not at all. Minor strikes are beyond my recall, and anything else in that history is, as it was then, a mystery. Thank God then for Wikipedia. Indebted to it I am for this verse, which I've included for better or worse. A miniature encyclopedia, providing, I hope, a backdrop for you, albeit from a 12-year-old's point of view. But to return to the topic in hand, it was a cold autumnal break. My friends and I had nothing planned beyond mischief performed for its own sake, and on that fateful day on the estate there was Michael G, my very best mate, Tony D, his older brother Gary, Roy R, Larry D, yours truly Barry, and last but not least there was Malcolm T, whose presence that day was no small thing, for Malcolm was nothing less than a king, gracing our humble assembly, in being known as someone to fear, the hardest kid in the second year. With no fireworks and not much to do, we loitered in the street for a while, and Michael, combining bamboo with poo, surprised us with a random projectile which he, via the end of the cane, sent flying toward a window pane, where it landed with a comical thud, resulting in another piece of arse mud landing on the window already hit. Hence, upon having found a new game, we wandered intent on more of the same being christened flicker shit, and many a flick that morning occurred, the streets being paved with plenteous turd. But as all good things come to an end, so it proved true on that fateful day. In all the excitement, my dear friend Michael, boisterously carried away, gathered more excrement on a stick, anticipating another flick, too hastily turned, and as he rose the stick end collided with Malcolm's nose, and though Michael froze, still he let slip a grin, and we were all grinning too, but evidently not sharing our view. Malcolm, with dog shit on his nose tip, looked at Michael fair menacingly and coldly ordered him, "Get it off me." Upon which Michael, in fear of the wrath of Malcolm, fumbled around and found a slightly damp-looking torn old cloth, and nobody uttered a word or sound as, at arm's length, he wiped Malcolm clean, or at least till dog shit couldn't be seen, and when he was done, silence still reigned, The threat of retribution remained, for after all, as already stated, Malcolm was the hardest kid in our year, and he was made to look foolish here. Thus, in anticipation, we waited for Malcolm to make the crucial move of a 12-year-old with something to prove. Michael was never a pugilist until later, when he boxed in the ring, but luckily for him, there was a twist. The angry young wasp was robbed of its sting by Tony D, with countenance grin, confronting Malcolm and telling him it was an accident, leave him alone. And as I watched with an inward groan, he offered Malcolm out for a fight. And what did Malcolm say in reply? Nothing at all, not even goodbye. And he made a pretty pitiful sight, walking away like a beaten has-been, or a chastised dog with his tail in between. Back in the days of Penny for the Guy, long before being elderly blokes, we were best friends, Michael G and I, partners in mischief and practical jokes. Tony D too was a good friend of mine. He's since passed away, I heard on the vine. And to him and all the others above, whether dead or alive, I send my love. Especially Malcolm, sound and okay. At least he was, when we were at school, approachable, cool, but never a fool, though events made him appear that way the day Tony D's status was sown, with not so much as a punch being thrown.